Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sara, and my guest today is Michael Weber, the worldwide breakthrough coaching, breaking through the barriers. What barriers are in our way? How do we have that high performance? How do we break down success so that we can be focusing on what we really need to be doing through the process in business? Well, this is what Michael does. He helps coaches and consultants get high-value clients every single month using a predictable system. And he doesn't leave success to luck or fate or chance, unlike most who focus on engagement and social popularity. Michael focuses on getting his clients results. Results is what everybody does want, but I do find that a lot of times people don't know what results they want. You know, everybody wants success and they want that abundance and they want this and that, but sometimes the idea of what success is a little misconstrued, isn't it, Michael? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. And that's it. It's funny you brought that up because I talk a lot about that inside of my program. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why some people do struggle. For myself, I went through a massive paradigm shift for myself. And unfortunately, some people, they have to, hit as we all know, the rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And, I was just some former party boy who literally was an introvert and never thought that I'd one day be doing what I'm doing. And I was just completely lost. And to be honest, I was just running away. I was running away from myself. I was running away, trying to find myself. And it resulted in a lot of, things I guess, I'm not necessarily proud of, being fired from a job. Thought I'd go overseas. And it was amazing that year of traveling around the world. But, all the different experiences I've had made me, realize that, you can't run away. You can't run away from this. And sooner or later, you got to be able to face those demons inside, face the reality. And, the ironic thing about it is when you do face it, you just render it absolutely defenseless. And I feel like we could probably talk a lot just on that.
Yeah, and I think let's stay with it for a moment, because it is, rendering to the surrendering, is we've been brought up by expectations of how you should do things, who you should be, what is success, what is, achievable. And for some people, I'll never have that success because I'm not A, B, and C. I don't fit into those categories. Other people find success very easily, but they realize this is not what I love doing. I can do this, but it means nothing to me. And I think a lot of the thing that we have to do in our own self-discovery is understand our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? Before what it is or how it is, why? Because if you can answer that why and really buy into your why, the how and the what will be easier to follow.
No, exactly. I think, Simon Sinek said that best. And that was another huge, eye-opener for me. And starting with your why, because I think that's a lot of people, they're trying to go after the what or the how and looking for a new shiny object and this hack to become successful. And it's kind of funny because I think it was last year, I launched a beta program around, I called it the art of success, right? And so I had a bunch of different people coming in from different niches wanting to be successful. And it was another kind of revolutionary change in some of my, thoughts, I guess, and how we all, in the end, we're facing similar adversities. And it really does, begin with that inner work, right? And I call it the 5 5s. So you need to have faith. You need to be able to focus your fitness, so your health, and then your family, and then your finance, where a lot of people that are trying to, become this millionaire or make this
Yes.
money, and then they end up just getting caught into something. They're realizing like, how the hell did they even get there?
The
And
treadmill.
it's easy for me to talk about this because I've done it all.
Yeah.
I ended up day trading. I was doing it for almost 3 years, full time every day. And I was like, one day I was like, how the hell did I even get here? It's something I wasn't passionate about, because honestly, if you want a success tip, that's what I tell people. The number one thing is find what your passion is, because if you follow your passion, it's not going to seem like work, and
Yes.
the money and the success will come.
And it's also putting the money at the bottom. I like under your fives, and the money, the finances are at the bottom. I need to go make out a shoot-load of money and then I'll be happy. That's not the way it works. I promise you. Lots of people I've interviewed who did that first and say, well, I have this money, but now I don't have the gift of time to enjoy it or what money can buy. And if you're doing something you truly love doing, you're going to nurture it and grow it so much more fruitfully. And your abundance isn't only money. The abundance is the joy you get out of it because of the service that you are stepping into.
Yeah. And often that will come with a cost. Not the latter, what you were talking about at first, right? Often that will come with a cost, right? So whether it's, family or, so I've seen that happen before too. So it's not really to put it, last per se, but you shouldn't be putting it first.
No.
Because, and then, because honestly, one thing I really pride myself in, and what my clients all talk about me, is how I focus on authenticity.
Yes.
Because, for years I was running away, like I was saying, and I ended up doing a lot of inner work. I did some NLP training. I'm a Reiki master, hypnotherapy, modern psychology. The list goes on. And again, I think I was doing it because I was looking for that next little hack, right? But what I did discover inside was myself, right?
Yes.
And really looking at what that looked like and everything that comes with that. And then you open yourself up. And one thing that I really learned, again, was a game changer for me, was the things that you don't want to tell people are the things that they need to hear. And when I started doing that, that's when things really started happening.
Well, the thing is, as a coach, you're a guider. You've got the tools that you use on yourself, and now you're sharing them with other people. You're a guider. You help people find the right tools and skills and kits to put in their own backpack for their own journey. But it is also sometimes reflecting back what they're putting out, and you pick that up and you go, are you aware? This is how you represent yourself. This is what you're looking at. And you need to look at that first before you can take the next step. Because, again, people are living by this expectation, that success is money, the expensive house, the expensive car.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how you get there, numbers. And we know that driving force is never successful. You may have all the money in the world, but I guarantee you will not have all the happiness. And by having people reflect, by you being actually be able to say to them, you're showing them an aspect of themselves that now they can actually deal with, that they're unable to see for themselves, because we don't always know how we are presenting ourselves or what we're presenting. And you need that other person to see it, to show you what maybe be your block. What is your perspective that's stopping you from moving forward? And that's why coaches are so important, because they're there to see you and how you represent yourself and how you can represent yourself authentically, but in a way that comes across clearer.
Yeah, I think awareness is probably one of the best gifts that we could have as a human being, because whether it's your job, your career, or your family, what have you, that's one thing that I've really come to appreciate. And again, if you were to delve into the psychology, most people are only using 1% of their capacity. Okay. And I mean, look into the iceberg analogy that Sigmund Freud has about 95% of we're operating on our subconscious, right? So what that means is it's either a memory or we're thinking about the future. And lots of people, they're stuck in the past, and this due to the evolution of the prefrontal cortex, it doesn't really serve us anymore,
Right. Yeah.
unfortunately. So we're living in that past, and for them, we're scared. Our past doesn't have to become our future. That's one of the
Right.
biggest things. So
It's not the measure of our future either.
exactly. And
Yeah.
reflection is another one. Like I inside of my program, I have this exercise that you should be doing daily, and one of them is reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're reflecting on your day, every single day, you're going to continue to grow. Just being aware and being able to reflect, right? And there's obviously more that you can
Yeah.
do, but 100% the awareness, raising your awareness, and there's many different ways that you can do that. But it's a lot of these things, and it's one of the biggest things that probably bothers me out of anything in this world is how we could solve so many things if we were to implement this kind of stuff in the education system.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! I know that's another topic we've to get into.
Yes.
But yeah, with anxiety and how
Mm.
kids are having anxieties. Oh my goodness! So
Yeah, I mean, we know that stress is a physical killer.
yes.
And an emotional, very detrimental to us. And we get so stressed out. And I think what are you actually stressing about?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it's not living up to, what somebody else, George, is doing down the road?
Yeah.
Are you being competitive and you feel that, you're not winning? It's, again, if you step into your authenticity and you're doing it because your why is strong enough and you're willing to learn along the way, always adopting and adapting, then you're not going to be stressing out because you have the skills and the tools to manage whatever comes to you instead of going, oh my God.
Right. Well, here's the ironic thing is when people look at success or they think about success, they overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
and I could, give many examples, whether it was, I was a bodybuilder for very disciplined for like 10 years. And I talked about in the stock market and
Mm-hmm.
lots of different things I've tried. And one thing that I always tried to do was complicate things because I thought it'd be better. Right. But this was a subconscious act. I didn't really realize it. But again, the further that I develop myself and grow, I realize that actually simplicity
Yes.
is, well, I think Steve Jobs is the one who said that, right? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, essentially. So, there are simple things, don't get me wrong, that can really make a huge change in someone's life. And
Yeah.
often you kind of feel a little bit foolish because you're like, oh my goodness, why do we make that so hard on ourselves? And you know what, even as us coaches, we need to be able to have people hold us accountable. And that's why one of my biggest philosophies, especially as a person who is a connector of fellow masterminds, is really just having that circle. That's probably one of the biggest, another big tip that I could give people is, surrounding yourself. You should try to surround yourself with people that are even, further in the journey than you are, because they're going to really push you to stretch and grow just naturally by being around them. Because honestly, if you look around, your five, closest people, your five closest friends are essentially the person that you are going to become. So that's it. That should be a wake-up call to some people. I know when that was told to me years ago, I realized, okay, maybe, I can set my game up a little bit here.
That as a spiritual coach, I often have people talk to their mirror, because the mirror, it's very hard to pull the wool over your own eyes. And, I say that while you're in your own self-discovery, you're feeling vulnerable. You're going inside of yourself and you're releasing things that you no longer need. Vulnerability is the greatest gift you can give. And when you're secure in your vulnerability, you're no longer vulnerable. I know it's kind of a little oxymoron there, but it's a question of the people around you. Are they propelling you? Are they supporting you? Are they competing with you, or are they pulling you back? And, you may love them dearly. They may be family members, but maybe until you're at a certain stage, you need to say, I love you, too busy right now, catch you later, and concentrate on working through your process, because it's very hard to do that when you've got other people, outside forces there, constantly kind of chattering, and the brain gets confused. You've got to understand this is a program up here. And to reprogram it, it's got to have consistency, and you can't have conflicting, because that's when you get confused.
Yeah. Well, I truly do believe that, let's say most people have good intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But through, society, social conditioning, we're basically naturally set up as humans to, not succeed. We really need to, like I said, it comes with the accountability, reflection, these little things to really help propel us. And if you're surrounded by these like-minded individuals, then it's going to happen, because you're going to hear about it if you're not doing it, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the whole part of it, right? So, I know, just speaking in the context of a mastermind, like that's where, people really are just there to open up, talk about, their wins or their losses. And so for me, like, I totally can relate to the vulnerability,
Yeah.
transparency. And when you're able to do that, it just provides a trusting area.
Yes.
And it's more inviting to people than rather trying to be, convincing. So
Yes. But I mean, of course, having those people doesn't mean you're going to do it exactly the way they did it, because, they'll probably be the first one to say, well, don't do it that way. That ain't going to work. It's learning what not to do as well as what to do. And just because one person has applied it that way and been successful doesn't mean that's your path. What you're doing is learning the insides, and the process, the whole gamut there, and then you've got to choose how to apply it to you, because a lot of people just become followers. Oh, I'm going to do it exactly like them. It worked for their business, it worked for them, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. How are you going to put these pieces together that will serve you?
Absolutely. So that's one thing, again, my onboarding process is I always get to know the person first. And I always say right up front, like, this has got to be right fit. It has to be a win-win. I don't believe in anything otherwise, right? It has to be, right? Being results driven, you should be, right? How do you do that? It comes with asking questions and, obviously listening, which is another, topic we could talk about.
Yes.
But
Listening
absolutely.
to hear, not listening to respond.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to see what the person's actually listening for, right? Because there's a difference between listening to someone, but what is that person actually listening for? And that's going to be, the game changer. Because, I could sit here and I could run a 3-hour webinar. I've done that before, and I've kept people on for the whole time. And the thing is, lots of times after that, a lot of people, they're not going to go, and that motivation tends to wear off, right?
Yes.
You really, so you need to be, compelling and be able to provide somebody with inspiration, something that they can take away instantly, that's going to give them results, right? Kind of like that aha moment.
Yeah.
And really leading with value, with results, rather, because a lot of people, like, I get it, it's tough, and you see people talking about, oh, you got to fake it till you make it, which I don't subscribe to that nonsense, right? But it's just, like I said, if you're just honestly opening up and trying to be, caring and listening to somebody to see what they want. I mean, one of the, another big catalyst change for me was just asking people what it is that they want. Like, when we get out to, starting to become an entrepreneur, we're out there and, trying to convince everybody. Like, I get it, right? I mean, but I remember when I started years ago too, I get it. You're excited, but you really need to just ask people, as silly as it sounds, and listen to what it is that they need, and then deliver on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to say, you have to try it until you get it. I'm a leaper. I've jumped into things so I have no idea how they work, and I learn as I go. And,
Right.
Sometimes you trip over and fall flat on your face or your ass or whatever the case might be. But you go, okay, that didn't work. Get back up. Let's try it in a different way. And you keep trying until you get it. And then when you get it, now you can really apply it and move forward with it. But if you aren't willing to try, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. No, totally. Actually, what you were saying before too about the whole, you got to make it your own. And I tell people that, like, there's no cookie cutter,
Yeah.
program or plan or blueprint and all
Right.
these things you see on the internet, right? There's, guides, and that's what a coach is, that you can have the material and be like, hey, listen, this is what worked for me. It was funny. I was just talking to my wife a couple of days ago because right now, one of the hot things on Netflix is Michael Jordan,
Yes.
right? And she was saying, "Oh my God, like he's, wow, is he talented? Such an incredible basketball player." And I was like, "Actually, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was actually. He didn't even make his high school basketball team. That was all hard work."
Yes.
If you look into what Michael Jordan did, he's arguably one of the best athletes of all, like all athletes, definitely for basketball. But that was hard work, and like he was. See, I think that's what was one of the biggest problems too with some people, especially the youth. And you hear about millennials; they get picked on a bit, but things are often handed to them where. Honestly, when I first started as an entrepreneur, like I'm not even gonna lie, like I was up till 3 a.m. working my butt, but I was passionate about it,
Right.
and it was gonna pay off.
You were committed. It made you focus because you were committed, because authentically this is the path that you wanted to take.
I enjoyed it.
Right. And so, and although yes, it is work, it doesn't feel like work because it feels like you're creating, and that creation is something that keeps driving you forward and helping you focus. Because when we do something that really comes from heart, that we really love doing, and we love seeing people be, lit up by it and apply it to their own lives and be able to take it and spread their own wings, it's exhilarating. So when you can find that something that brings out that passion in you, your work doesn't feel like your work. It feels more like your calling.
Exactly. Yeah. So another good question to ask people is like, in terms of where they are, is would you do that for free? Right? Would you actually do what you're doing, for free? Because a lot of people, most people, unfortunately, they're going to this dead end job. I know for me, I went to school for power engineering, and that was kind of, I grew up in a blue collar environment, and nobody was an entrepreneur in my family. So that's what I thought, right? Go to school, get an amazing job. And I was absolutely miserable. And that, honestly had a part of the effect of my conditioning. And then everybody, especially too, when I was making good money, and I was thinking about quitting, and people were like, well, what else would you do? Right. So it's like so many people, they think you're the crazy one.
Yes, I know.
You're able to follow your passion, where they're the crazy ones, apparently, because they're trading their bodies for money. They're trading time for money.
They've just settled, and, I say there's a difference between service and servitude. When you're off service, you're doing something because you really wish to serve other people. Servitude it's more being a servant or even a slave to something. You don't enjoy it, you just do it, and you've got to stop and ask yourself, why? Is this what life is about? Am I meant to be in this humdrum that feeds me nothing and I don't feel I'm contributing anything? Or am I willing to go down this road of self-exploration and discover what I really love to do and how I really love to bring it to other people? But that is a certain amount of strength and courage that's needed for that.
Absolutely. And, for me, one of probably what really was the ultimate driver for me in my wake-up call was having my firstborn. And, unfortunately, I was lying in the hospital and debilitated because I, driven my body to somewhere I obviously, didn't think I would have ever end up. And I looked at my daughter and I said, looked at my wife, and I was, obviously things, have to change.
Yeah.
And I was doing the best of my time, and I was, trying to become this entrepreneur and day trading on the stock market. And I had, all this, I was just stressed straight out. Right.
Yeah.
And what I was, what I went through, I wish upon nobody, but it was also my blessing in disguise. And that my wife actually, it was, I think a year ago, she asked me like, so with all what you're doing, like, what is your goal? I was like, well, simple, for you to be proud of me, for what, to truly be proud of me, and for my daughters to, think of me as a hero. And she was shocked at that. And I still, to this day, those are my biggest goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's the reason for doing something. But, whether the kids are there or not, it's still that driving force to do something. But when you have a family, as you said, You want them to be proud of who you are and what you're doing. And sometimes, obviously when they're young, they have no idea. Even when they're teenagers, I don't know what dad does, but he's a good guy and people really like him. And I'm proud of that, because there are a lot of people whose fathers are in very high positions and they have no time for their children. And, when they do, kind of almost treat them like a commodity, and it's because they're so in tune to business, business, business at all costs that they don't know how to actually enjoy what they're working for. They've lost sight of it. And I don't deem that success. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. I don't care how big a position you have. If the money or the drive or the ego or the power has got you at the cost of family, friends, and yourself, I don't deem that success.
No, absolutely not. And so what I was trying to get across from my message is like, that's what jumps me out of bed, right? Because having kids was a game changer for me. Like
the redirect.
I would probably still be that, lost person and, partying. Well, let's hope not, but that
Nothing wrong with a good party now and again.
That's right. That's right. But that was really the changer for me. And it's funny when you were talking about that. I remember reading an article. This was a long time ago on the internet, where this kid was asking his father how much money he make, and his father gave him crap, right? And the article went on and on and on. And dad finally, told him, and he was upset. And then basically the kid wanted to know how much money. You already know where this is going.
Yes,
right?
I remember this one.
So yeah. So it was really touching, where the kid just wanted his time, because and I get it. Some people they're doing the best they can. I get it, right? Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously the story, if it's the same as the one that I know, is the kid saved up money so that he could hire his dad, right? I'm buying your time. And, if that is not a wake-up call for a father, I don't know what is. And, Meatloaf did a great one too on, the father, never having time. And it's like, I don't care how rich you are or who you are. We've all got the same time, the same clock every day. And it's what you do in that time and whom you serve, including yourself, the wonderful ripple effect of people that you leave around you every day that feel better off for having you in their company in whatever way. And that for me is really the true art of success. And if money and position is what comes out of that as well, hallelujah. But I think that's the driving force of success. Did you have an impact in someone's life today?
Yeah. So one of my mentors, he always told me is, Mike, you always want to leave people wanting more of you.
Yes. Wanting to know you more. Absolutely. On whatever level. And, I've done an awful lot of business shows, and I've run a lot of businesses as well. And, as far as I'm concerned, all businesses are public relations and customer service. And, that relationship you have with your customer, the relationship you have with your staff, the relationship you even have with yourself, that is what people come for. They can get whatever product or service you've got anywhere else. But if you make them feel at home, you make them feel welcome, you see them, you hear them, then that's where they want to keep coming back, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, people, they're buying you. They're buying you. Yes. And that's where people, they're trying to get this, system or this tactic. And I mean, they're great to have, but that's where, I think we started off this call is about doing that inner work and looking inside. Because here's a thing that I always tell my clients too, is like, if you can't ultimately take control of yourself, if you have no self-control, then how are you going to be, how can you, it's not about controlling someone else, but how can you, take control of your business or take control of a niche or a marketplace or what have you, like, and that's why with my 5 Fs, if people think, well, why does family come, after fitness? And you need to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. But that goes back to the social conditioning too, where we're told that we're conceited or we're selfish, or, you're going to the gym. And I know for me, when we first started having kids, my wife, she hated it. I go to work and then go to the gym, but she gets it now.
Yes.
She gets it now, of course, right? And she works out. I never thought that day would have came, but you know, we all, whatever, and that's the thing, we all can grow as individuals. And for me, I'm a student. As a coach, I'm a student for the rest of my life. I'm always continually growing. And you know, because the day that you stop trying to grow is the day that you start to lose.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. You know, I mean, life is interaction, it's participation, it's having a reason to get up every day. And if you lose that, then, you know, what's the purpose of being here? And if you're doing something you absolutely love, yeah, you may at a certain age slow down or pass the business on, but you still want to dabble because it's A, your baby, and B, it's something that is a part of you. And so it keeps you alive as much as you keep it alive. And
Right.
And I agree with the fitness before family. You know, I'm mother of 3 adult children, and I didn't do that way. I mean, mama got burnt out running around after the kids and everything else, and it was at my own cost because I thought that is what I was meant to do. You know, from a different era, and now I know it's that the better that mum is, the more fortified mum and dad is. You know, the more abundant they are, the more they've got to give. And, you know, that is the importance. Oxygenate yourself first. And you can't do anything for anyone else if you aren't empty.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I wake up early every single day and have a 15-minute, like I'm a Reiki master, so I perform Reiki on myself, and I do Eastern wisdom, self-awareness practice, 15 minutes, right? And how I feel after that's amazing.
Yeah, sets you for the day, right?
Yeah, then I work out. I used to be, you know, hardcore. I don't anymore. Like honestly, 15 minutes hard or half an hour. Then I have a cold shower. We could talk about cold showers. I won't. They do so much for your health.
Yeah.
And then I have, you know, a shake, and I can tell you, I feel like I can take on the world after that. You know, my mind is pure. My body feels amazing. So much energy. I'm happy. You know, I do all that before the family wakes up, and you know, I just feel like I could conquer the world. So if I didn't do that, then I'm, you know, shooting in all these different directions, and I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's where we talk about that stress in the beginning. And if you're not giving yourself that time, you know, to center yourself, you know, to be solidified with your core, your beliefs, your body, and everything in sync, then you're going to get so easily stressed at anything else you do because you're off kilter. So we've got to find that practice, each one of us, of what is it that we do, that when we get up in the morning, that centers us and puts us on this path, because now you are ready for everything, right? And everybody has a different ritual, you know, whatever is important to you, but find one that is, because that will be what gives you that equilibrium every day to go and face what you need to face. And doesn't matter how successful you are, there's always going to be something you have to face, but you'll know how to face it, and you'll know how to face it calmly because you set that presence in yourself right from the moment you got up.
Exactly. Anticipatory management.
Mm-hmm.
When you're actually, it's almost like you're looking for, it's not like, I guess you're looking for something to go wrong, but it's like you're prepared, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing, right? And that's what we should be. We should prepare for the future. Not, okay, if I lose my job, right, I can't make the next payment. That's how people, they go through their life. They do that with everything. They don't have their hands on the steering wheel of their life, They're driving around blind, they're walking around blind, right? So our mind is really, it's everything, right? That's what controls everything. And you got to be, you know, spiritual. You got to be healthy in what you're actually putting in your body, because again, we're all we are is energy, right? And
yes, absolutely.
We're constantly giving that energy off, and people don't realize that. In business, people think, well, I have this business problem. You know what? Lots of times they actually have a personal problem that's just showing up in their business. And I talk about this again to all my clients, but the people that are coming to you in your business are what you're portraying. It's the person that you are. So you really need to become the person that you want to attract. And so who you were yesterday isn't who you have to be tomorrow. So it's always about who you are trying to become, right? Because we're not faking it here. We just want to become this person. We want to open yourself up, be vulnerable, be transparent, be trusting, be caring is some of the most, the best things that you can really do.
You're rooting your tree, and we know that trees speak to one another. The matrix, and that's why forests are so strong. It doesn't matter if you're tall,
Right.
small, skinny, or what tree you are. They all support one another, and you need that support around you. And you're rooting, and you're letting the core of your tree grow big and strong.
Yeah.
But it's also so that your branches can branch out, and that
Right.
can move with the wind. That flexibility. And if you're not willing to grow and not willing to move, and everything has got to be so rigid, I promise you, you will break.
Yes.
Because the wind at some point will crack you open. And this is where I think a lot of, faith, spirituality, the intuition in business,
Right.
when something doesn't feel right and you don't know why, don't rush into it. Oh, don't dismiss it. Oh, it's just me and a feeling. No, you've got that sensory there for a reason. Now look into why doesn't it feel right? Start talking to your team and your people about it. And, and you can say, I've got a gut feeling. I don't know why, but let's look at the pros and cons in it and see if it's valid or not. And so many people in business dismiss that intuition, that feeling, but those that really in tune with it and channel it because they're at one with oneself, they're the people that really, really do have success.
100%. Right. Like guys like Steve Jobs, so spiritual. He was always meditating. I again, if I had one trait, one quality in my, perfect client or prospect, it's to be open.
Mm-hmm.
If I can work with somebody who just has an open mind, I mean, it's really limitless, right?
Yes.
Because here's the problem what people don't realize. They think that, okay, if I got to be open to this certain idea or, strategy or whatever, they think that immediately means they have to run with it and they have to do it.
Yeah.
But it's not what it is. It's listening. Again, it's just being open to hear it, right? Because if you are stuck, because the thing is, opinion is just your perception. And again, it goes with how we were conditioned. So you already have your perception. That person has their perception, right? We're just open up and listen. And then you can form, your logical opinion after that. But if you're closed off, if you're not even open, then you don't know. Like, I mean, we met, right? We had a quick chat. And we're like, do you want to come on the podcast? I'm like, absolutely. And if I wasn't open to talk to you, then I wouldn't be here.
No, I mean, who needs somebody who's guarded? I want people that are open and willing to share. So, that's the gift. And that's the thing is, don't be afraid to share yourself. So many people, no, I can't tell you my secrets. Well, I'm not going to tell you that. You'll be competitor. And I think the wise people will always give away. And, and give away enough for people to want to know more from you.
Absolutely. Another amazing book. I could sit here and ramble off lots of books. The Go Giver. The Go Giver. Yeah, he talks. Have you read that one? There's actually a series, but it talks about how it's like. And I actually, again, I can remember back to my experiences when you first start out. It's like you almost kind of want to, keep your. If you think you have a secret, which you probably don't have a whole lot when you're starting, but that's 100% accurate. The more successful you are, the more that you're willing to share, the more that you're willing to give. And that's what the book is actually, it's based on, real life and how a guy, he was so successful and some of these people were like blown away.
Right.
Where you would take them on and you would mentor them, like, no, this is going to cost something. They're like, what the hell? And that's what he was all about was, giving. Because, here's the thing, like if you're going to help somebody truly, authentically, like help somebody, that's always going to come back, right? The law of reciprocity, like what you give, you could just have one, free call that changes someone's life. And that person goes and screams on the top of a mountain, right? And all of a sudden you get, 3 clients or whatever the case may be. Right.
And the thing is, it's, this, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
If you're coming with that attitude, there's going to be nothing for you because you're not open enough to receive. But when people, I want to listen or I'm inspired. And so it's invited me to explore further. And that means they're going to want to come to you because you inspired them. But it doesn't always come back directly to you. It may be something they pay forward. And so
Right.
if you're doing something for what's in it for me, what am I getting out of it? Then again, the wrong mindset. You're doing it because you can. You're doing it because you should. Now, there's nothing to say, obviously, in business that you don't have a price tag on your program. That is just the earthly thing that we have to do. But at the same time, for what you do choose to give away, you're giving away free will.
Exactly.
And whether people come to you or, I do an awful lot of referring, it's who's better to serve them. And then what you're doing is building a community. As you talked about, getting your tribe around you of
Yeah.
people that are kind of like-minded, like-agendaed. And when you're building that community of people where you're each helping each other, that community becomes very, very strong. And it's like your forest, it
Yeah.
has your back, that matrix is there.
That's right. And the whole what's in it for me, I think that's fine, but it should be for the other person. It shouldn't be
Yes,
for you,
yes,
right? Like
yes.
being 100% agenda driven in a transactional form is not right. And there's a lot of people, they just look at sales, and you're entirely correct about the whole, like, if you have something that is literally your life's work, like to say, my program, like I give away a portion of my program, but you can't give away the whole,
Right.
the
No,
farm, right?
there's still this vessel and needs a roof and family to support,
Well,
and it's also an exchange of energy, the currency.
exactly. So that's one, right? Obviously, right. You need a roof over your head. You have to eat, but the other thing too is people are going to respect it
Yeah.
more.
Yes.
And
Value it more.
I've
Yeah.
done it before, where it's like you give away that whole, that whole
Shebang.
whatever you got. Yeah, and then they won't show up, and they don't respect your time. It's just it's
Yeah.
not, but no, I completely. I was going to say something else, and I forget,
It'll come back.
yeah.
It will come back. I think it goes back to the why again. Why do you want to be successful? How do you want to get there? There's a guy in Germany I interviewed. His company is called Pure Necessity.
Okay.
And it's from, he was brought up in East Germany. And when the wall went down, he had had 12 years of the communism and then went into this other world. But he said he still kept a lot of those principles of what communism is about. And, he promotes with companies and with governments, people, planet for profit, not profit at the expense of people and planet. And I think if you can look at your business that way, who else is it serving? What is the ripple effect? How far reaching can it be? Because the money will trickle down back to you. But if it's always that money first at the expense of people and planet, you are going to end up poor in many, many ways. So there's a whole different mindset of how we're looking at business now, isn't it? Because it used to be driven by profit. And now it isn't. It's driven by the content, for authenticity and the value of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think we've entered the post-trust era, even before the pandemic, where we all can kind of make the joke about the used car salesman, but the internet gives rise to the ability to, do things like this and make a living just through Zoom. But however, there are some skeptics, and I get it, and most of us have been burned. I totally get it. We've all gone to school. We've all been burned. No. Okay.
Yes.
I won't get it. Sorry, I said we were going to talk about that. But
I agree. Education has to change. It's not reflective of the times.
yeah. Speaking of value, right? But
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about education. Even the education, post. How many people go to university to find out there isn't a job for what they've just studied, and it's and there's this prerequisite, you've got to be the lawyer or the doctor or the successful businessman. And when you look at the successful business people, there are people who really do go by that code of conduct, that inner authenticity, and the way they treat their people. And that's really where their success is. And so I think even businesses undergoing a different education. I get people saying, how many people listen to your shows? And I go, all those that are ready to hear it. I can't dictate how many people listen. I can put it out there, and it's like a library. You can come in and pick a show that is going to speak to you, that you need to hear. But, I can't force people. And that's the thing. What we can do is bring people to water. But very often they won't drink until they're thirsty. And then they're ready to soak it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes back to, unfortunately, sometimes there is a catalyst that might be, ultimate blessing in disguise,
Yes.
hitting rock bottom where, some people, they do, and some people's stories is worse than others. And, sometimes it has to be that way, unfortunately. And
Mm,
not all of us can be open just naturally. Right.
yeah.
So you're entirely right. Like, you can't force someone.
No.
They have to be willing to do it. Then there has to be a burning desire. I had a call with a fellow this morning, and he never had that burning desire. So he had his good job, and he was kind of comfortable. And like, sorry, those aren't the people that I like
Just
to
not
work for.
ready.
No.
May never be ready.
Yeah.
But maybe, we've got to understand that if you want to have your own business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be successful in any business, there is some work you have to do. First, starting with you, right? And if you're not willing to take that journey and do that work, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you're never going to reach great heights, not authentically, not without losing yourself. But if so many people either can't be bothered, or it's too much effort, or I don't want to do that, then where you're at is where you've decided to be,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
nobody can help you.
You ultimately create your life, right?
Yes.
Whether you
Yes.
build it up to, something amazing, or build it all the way down to, you're wanting to take your own life.
Yeah.
We're the creators of our life, and we have to take that responsibility. We all have a choice at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter where you are at the moment.
No.
It only matters where you want to be. I could sit here all day and talk about some of the greatest where, Grant Cardone basically getting pistol whipped and for drugs. And now look at him. He's
Yeah.
one of the wealthiest people in real estate. I mean, it's like, it
But
doesn't matter.
that's the point too, though, isn't it? It's that the judgment, oh, you'll never be successful because you did that.
Yeah.
And yet the people that are the most successful are the people that have gone through life,
Mhm.
faced their process, had a breakthrough,
Yeah.
and now truly understand what life is about and what they're going to do in it.
Yeah.
Right? So, people want to pass judgment on someone because, well, you did this or that happened to you, blah, 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 are the people that are limited. But the
Yeah.
people who truly see the person now and they can look at their journey and go, wow, that strength, that courage, that tenacity, that ability, I want to know how you did it and how can I apply it to my life.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I hear those stories where
Yes.
people are sharing that, I'm like a magnet to them. And
Yeah.
I think that we've been talking a lot about that so far, just,
Yeah.
really opening up and being heart-centered. But, when I've had many different coaches and mentors over the years, and when they, share that, it's like, are you kidding me? Because you look at them
Yeah.
and you see them as being successful.
Yeah.
And then immediately you hear that. Like I had one coach, he was actually a doctor of psychology, and not your typical textbook person. I've gone to see those before too,
Yeah.
and reading out a book.
Work
But
by numbers. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I remember he read a text off his phone from his wife for me one time, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Just that kind of stuff. It's just like so much respect and just open. It's like, oh, they make you feel like, okay, well, I guess I am normal.
Yeah. But what is normal? I
think
think,
I said the wrong word, normal.
yeah, no, the thing is, I don't think there is a normal. I think there is, the honesty of being yourself.
Yeah.
And that is a normal state to be for you if you've worked to be there.
Yeah.
And it's a normal state of being.
Yeah.
But this quote, being normal out there is somebody else's expectation and dictation. And if you look at society and the trouble that it's in, it's clearly not working.
Yeah.
And, I always say when you're pointing a finger at someone else, oh, the government's to blame, this is to blame, that's to blame, my life is to blame. There's three fingers pointing back at you, mate, right? It doesn't change what's happened to you, but you've got the choice of what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go on social media and you see some of those posts, like it's like, you just like immediately the person is like revealing their cards, their hand, right, to the poker game. And it's like, it says so much about that person. And again, I get it. And I can also say, I used to be a victim myself, and I made myself a victim, right?
Yes.
And
but you didn't know how to get through whatever was that caused you the pain. right? Until you were willing to face it, because that's the only way through, is facing it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's, yeah, I don't know. I get it. You know, it can be tough, but I think taking the leap, like you said, is really the first step. And I get it. It can be scary.
Yeah.
But
Why don't we change the word scary to exciting?
Yes.
Why don't we look upon this as, I'm going on an adventure. I'm exploring.
Yeah.
You know, we have these words we put in there, oh, fearful, scary, and negative. And that's, again, part of the conditioning that we've been taught.
Yeah.
But if we look at it as, gosh, you know, oh, what possibilities are out there? What opportunities are out there? How can I explore them? And be willing to put one foot in front of the time and not go on the highway with flat on the pedal, but willing to take the side roads along the way. We get so much more of an adventure from that.
Well, I mean, here's a good example. I was just thinking about when you said that, because, you know, honestly, that whole fear, that it doesn't last that long, right?
No.
And I always tell
Not
my
unless
clients,
we feed it.
Yeah. What you should be doing is seeking that, you know, fear in terms of, like, you know, growth, because that's where growth is on the other side of it. But if you think about it, meeting your significant other, you probably had, you know, some anxiety, right? And some, right? You're a bit fearful.
Yeah.
You're talking
trepidation. Who are they? Are they a serial killer?
Well, exactly, right. It's normal. But now, look, you said you have 3 kids.
And an ex-husband, but he wasn't a serial killer.
but you know, like, it's like, that's just, there's so much more on the other side of that. Once you do face it, it's like, oh my God, like, that actually wasn't that bad. Like a Facebook Live.
Yes.
The first time I did my Facebook Live, I think I can remember exactly where I was. And it took me so long to, like, hit the button to go live. You're like, it's like an hour you're sitting there, right? You couldn't find out me live. But now it's like, oh my God, you know, I haven't even done one in a while, but I could just hit that button and
it was the same with me with my very first podcast. That was actually with another network, and it was live, and I pressed the wrong buttons, and they produced it. Are you there? Are you there, Sarah? Are you there? Eventually I came on, and she said, do you want to continue with this? I said, yes, I'm going to continue. And I did 13 months of live, which was a great education. A great education how to manage things when the internet drops or the person doesn't turn up or this or that happens. And now, of course, I run my own network, which I have for the last 7 years. And I look at when I first opened my network to where it is now, even to where it can be in a few months' time or next year. You know, it's allowing the growth, watering those seeds of possibilities, and looking forward to what you can create. Not about what you have done. You know, you take those skills and tools from the past and you apply them to the now, and they will build you your creative future.
Absolutely. One thing I was thinking about when I used to, or tell my students at the college when they're looking for employment, was the whole role reversal. Like, if you're going for an interview, I was always amazing at an interview. I literally, every interview I always had a job offer. Came with a couple things, but I would always study the company and then, you know, look at some, you know, questions, just be prepared. Right. But really, it's just it was like the internal shift inside, instead of, you know, so we were talking about going live, right? It's like, why, like, you really, isn't it silly?
Yeah.
Why are you scared? Like, you're going to talk to people, and the big shift is like, you're actually interviewing them. Like, why should I work there? You know, one of the biggest interviews I had was 2.5 hours long, and I was 19 years old. And I went in, I had those guys laughing, and they were like, I laughed, and they're like, no, we want, like, they basically told me. I called my mom after. I was like, Mom, I got the job. She's like, congratulations. Well, I'm like, no, I guess they didn't tell me I got the job, but I got to wait to hear. But I'm like, they pretty much told me.
Yeah.
But it was just that mental
mental
shift in my head. And I was like, why should I work here? Right. And I wasn't cocky. There's a big difference between cocky, was having that confidence. I was prepared to have that confidence, and I went in there, and it's just myself.
And it's a two-sided interview at that point.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing, is they're interviewing you to see if you're a fit. You're interviewing them to see if they're a fit with you. And, you know, in doing that, is that you're not just being submissive or meek and mild and answering those questions. Are they going to like me? Will they give me the job? Can I do this? Throw that out the door. Go in and be your authentic self. And you're either a fit or you're not. But also look at the company. And if those questions they're asking you are kind of like too rigid, or the expectations on you are against who you really are, then it's not a fit.
Right.
There is no failure there. None whatsoever if you step into your authenticity.
Yeah. I don't believe in failure. I call it feedback. Right? We're constantly getting feedback in life, right? So if we're talking about the business world, we're constantly getting feedback, right? So if you go out and you talk to 10 people and you get 10 no's, that's not failure, that's feedback. You come back the next day. And again, it goes back to what we talked about is reflection too. So if you're constantly reflecting, you're constantly growing. Just think, if we can improve ourselves by 1% every single day, who we'd be, right? Because that's the whole thing. If you look into, cause and effect in relationship to our memory, people are like, oh, I have a good memory. Well, science has proven we have terrible memories, but we base our memory, we base off our actions off our memory, right? Whereas in cause and effect is entirely different. So if I go out and I try to, lose weight today, are you going to lose any weight in one day? It's like stepping on the scale. Right? You can lose a bunch of water, but you're not going to. Well, yesterday I didn't lose any weight. Therefore, that
I failed.
Work. It's like cause and effect, where I've done this before, and I've proven to people, like jumping on the treadmill and running. I'm 250 pounds, right? I've been bodybuilding for years. I'm not a runner. And, I've gained a little bit of weight too. And that's why I wanted to do this. But I jumped on the treadmill, ran 1 minute. Next day, 2 minutes. Next day, 3 minutes. I did that all the way up to an hour. My wife's like, when are you going to stop? And I kind of did it to prove to some of my clients, but also to myself, where, it's theoretically I shouldn't have been able to do it. And it was kind of hard on me doing it. But
you faced the challenge.
Yeah.
Right? You face the challenge, and it's give yourself challenges. I don't believe in failure if you fall down and get back up again. And I've done it many, many times in my life where, invested in something, time, money, and everything else, and it didn't work out. And all it was a lesson to learn. And you learn what not to do or what to do better next time. And so I think the failure is when people give up and don't try at all.
Right.
Right. But not making a mistake and learning from it is not a failure. It's just a lesson.
Yeah. Well, entrepreneurship is, I don't want to say failure, but I mean, you got to look at it in the sense of things aren't going to go right. When you embrace that process, that's where it's just going to be different. I went to see Arnold Schwarzenegger speak right before the pandemic. And one of the biggest takeaways I got, I guess I'm at the point where I've done so much training and so many mentors and so many courses and workshops where I can go attend something and I'm looking for that one line or seriously. That's, I'm obsessive and I love to grow, right? But the biggest thing that I really took away, and like you said, what did you need at that moment and as part of your journey, was just enjoying it. Just enjoying it. You mentioned the word vision. I did want to comment on a while ago when you said vision. That's where it really begins, right? And for Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was walking past, he wanted to get out of his country. He was, going through the war. He walked past, he saw Reg Park on a magazine cover. He's like, oh my God. He was 14 years old. And he's like, I'm going to become the best bodybuilder ever. And, he had nothing but resistance and people telling him, laughing at him, right? But he put up that picture and every single day, he's like, it was easy. He's like, I just worked hard and, looked at that. Right? So it was his vision. But again, he would be training for 5 hours a day and people would be coming to the gym and everyone was miserable except for him. He's smiling, he's joking. I'm finding they asked him what the hell, how can you do this, Arnold? And he's like, I'm one rep closer to becoming a champion.
Yeah. So he went on. He went on to be, the governor of California. And of course, even in movies, they ridiculed his accent. Oh, you've got to change that. We have to dub you. And he says, my accent's my accent. I'll be back.
What he said he was going to do. He did. He said that everything, right? Yeah. So when he went to become he's like, I'm going to retire from bodybuilding. I'm going to go be an actor. Same thing, right? They laughed at him.
Yeah,
So, and then he
exactly.
said, I'm going to be a politician. He said he actually wanted to be the president, but because he's from Austria, he can't be. So
Right.
California is, the next best thing. But anyways, it's just the whole point of being so crystal clear on your vision.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of steps in between there, but you don't worry about those steps. And that's where I kind of failed. And being the engineer I am, I try to reverse engineer every simple thing. It's good to have, your 5-year goal or, one, whatever, but you just want to picture on trying to become better each day, growing off that, reflecting, being aware, and honestly, just enjoying yourself and embracing
Yeah.
the process.
I created a blueprint 2.5 years ago, and I put it up as a vision, make a banner and everything else. And this is kind of where I want my company to go. This is what I want it to do. And, slowly by slowly kind of chipping away at it. But and several times I thought, I've got the right people to do it with, and it doesn't work out that way. All it was to gather some more knowledge, more tools to apply. And, when it's time for it to do, the right people will come along. And so patience is really huge. I'm a person who rushes into things. I see something, I want to do it now.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I've had to learn the patience and to be methodical, which is not me at all. I'm very spontaneous. And I've had to learn to follow the structure, make sure things are really grounded well and rooted well, and that there is a time for everything, and not everything has to be in one time. So if you're willing to learn by going through the process, you're going to be more sure-footed and also more patient as to when things should happen.
Well, it's really silly, probably what I'm going to say, but sometimes people, they forget about what it actually took, what they did to get where they are. Whether that is not where they want to be or actually being successful. Sometimes people forget actually, they create the successful business and they forgot what actually went put into it.
Right.
They want to go and change it. And that's what I'm talking about, the whole, like, we're fallible. We are as human beings, and we think we have this amazing memory, right? We forget about the whole cause and effect. That's why we need to be constantly reminded. We need to be, aware, and we have to reflect. Like, it's almost like those blueprints are good. But things are going to change. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to pivot. But you should always be, reflecting back. And this is where your circle is so important, because right, if you're surrounded with those people and they understand your vision, they're going to say, okay, Mike, I think you're, maybe starting to, or just, it's not even like that, right? It's like, I actually, right before I jumped on this, I had a mastermind last night with one of my groups, and I've had 2 texts already today. It's like, Mike, how are you doing today? Whatever. It's like, it's just like that. Like, that's all I need.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me is, I know the blueprint and its intent of what it wants to do is right, but I'm open to the how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when, it's like you going to listen to someone or reading a book or listening to a podcast, you may be inspired by the person throughout it, but there's that one statement, that one click. That's the piece I need for the next step. And that's the thing, be willing to learn from others. And of course, podcasting, which I've been doing 8 years now, and I've got 2,500 shows here on Self-Discovery Media, that it's I call it, nugget. It's an orchard of wisdom. And people have an hour here of your wisdom that they can listen to and that they can apply, and now they know who to reach out to when they need that particular guidance. And it's not a one size fits all. People do business in different ways, but if people clicked with you of who you are, why you are, what your journey was, and what you're doing, then they're going to go, okay, there's a piece that's been missing. I want to follow through on this. But if you're not willing to participate, not willing to listen, not willing to learn, not willing to investigate, inquire, you're not going to get the skills, the tools, and the people you need in order to advance.
Yeah, that's right. The developed mind is only capable of, recognizing an opportunity or, possibility, inquiry, whatever. Because that's the thing, right? Was people are, they're comfortable being uncomfortable, and they're like, well, why do all the, why are all the good ideas gone, or why? It's like, again, that kind of goes back to the victim, but just looking honestly, because there's an entirely different lens to be looking through and seeing the world. Like when this pandemic started, a lot of the forecasts that started, like things that started happening, I forecasted them. I'm not trying to say, you know, I know everything, whatever, but I saw a lot of these things happen, and my wife thought it was actually, you know, oh, no, sorry, honey, I love you, but there's a couple of things, right,
Yeah.
that I said, right, and you know, some people, and this isn't to say, well, you know, I'm right or wrong, but I just, you know, had a, you know, feeling. And personally, I had no fear at all. I looked at this as nothing but an opportunity.
Yes.
Nothing
Yes.
but prosperity everywhere.
Right.
And look, and I've actually been enjoying myself with that, because now more people are even open to it. And that's really what you should be. I mean, the things that people have had in the back burner of their life, or well, I kind of wanted to be a coach, or I kind of wanted to, you know, help somebody. Well, now their plan B is actually their plan A. So
Yes.
you don't know what's going to happen, and should be prepared.
Right. And, you know, it's preparation meets opportunity. Right. And when you are prepared, and you know, you've got things ready, you know, you're at the starting gate, got the right shoes on, water
Right.
bottle, everything else, you're ready for that marathon. And, you know, the opportunities, who do you meet along the way? You know, and that's the thing. Don't look for the quick fix. Don't look for the quick money. That never happens. But you never know what surges are going to happen along the way with the people that you meet, that,
Yeah.
you know, are infusers. And it's, you know, I've said that this COVID, however awful it is for the people who have lost their lives, and
Right.
which my heart goes out to them and their family, and we're going to be seeing an awful lot of repercussion of post-traumatic stress from our, you know, front
Absolutely. Yeah.
workers, and people who have lost their jobs completely. We're very blessed to be here in Canada, and the reason I'm doing my shows free right now is because Canada's supporting me, so
Yeah.
I can do my shows free because I believe in paying it forward. But you
Absolutely.
know, it's about, what opportunity do you have right now? It's a fantastic time to review your life, you
Yeah.
know, to look at renewing it. Are you on the right path? Is there something else you can be doing out there? And for a lot of industries, they've said, hey, staff, if you want to stay at home after this and work from home and not come to the office, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
change the way we do business. And it, in a lot of ways, as a gift, doing it this way, we can actually reach more people everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And like I said, I should be a statistics myself, honestly. And that's why I'm so humble, and I have the empathy, and I feel for others going through um, any adversities in their life. And don't get me wrong, like the pandemic like this is real, and some people
It's
don't
very
think
real, and a
it's
second wave is
real.
coming that's going to be even harder. You know, common
100%.
sense needs to prevail.
Oh my goodness, yeah, at the time of this recording, I think there's a lot of to come. But see, that's the thing. If you're doing the right things,
Mm,
then you're gonna be, okay. It goes back to the choices, and
yes,
being open, and because in the end, it's everything is gonna be okay. Like, I mean, it is. It's life is really what you make about it, right? Like, to
right.
me, I am like obsessive in nature in terms of reflection. Like
Mm,
when I reflect on my day and something went wrong that I didn't plan for, or whatever that I didn't want, I look at that, or I really do look at that and see, like, how did that happen? Sometimes you can't control it, right? But maybe there was a possibility that you can't change the government,
nope.
you can't change all these things. You should only be investing your time and energy into things that you can change. You can change yourself. You can change the way you perceive things. You can change your actions. Like, for instance, one of the easiest things to really do is, it's as Jim Rohn said, what is easy to do, what is easy not to do.
Mm,
But obesity, right, is you
mm.
you eat less food and you move. Pretty easy, but yet over 50% of the population in North America is obese. So that's the thing. Like, if you can't even control that kind of stuff, right, obviously you can't control your mind, you can't control your business. um,
You
so
are a
it's
reflection. You are a reflection, of, I'm always saying that if you go into a company and the company is messy, then it's not, you know, on the janitor. The janitor is the first person you
Yeah.
quote meet by the
Right.
cleansiness of that company. But if
Right.
you're working for yourself, you're also that janitor. You know, you need to know what you need to change, what you need to clean out, what practices. And, you know, so many people right now have got COVID bellies. You know, I'll admit, I'm not getting
Yeah.
out there and walking like I did, and I've suddenly found oatmeal cookies. So, but it just means I know that when the permission is to get out and do more, I'm going to have to go out and do more. So there's always a cost to something. Are you willing to pay it?
Right. Absolutely. You cannot have excuses and results at the same time. It
No.
is literally impossible, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't really care for pity parties. You know, I might, you know, listen to somebody, but it's like at the end of it, like, are you actually willing? Like, are you committed?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm looking for. And when I speak to a prospect is like, right, so right now you want to change, obviously, right? That's what
Yes.
we're talking. Are you committed? Because this is a team thing. You know, I get it. Like, I mean, I've shared some of my losses here today. I get it. But I always wanted something better. I wasn't entirely sure
Right.
how to get there, and, you know, had to do a lot of inner healing and reflection and being open and, right, like talking to my wife and telling her like why I want to do this, and what, you know, like you said, your why has
Mm-hmm.
become a better person, a better father, a better husband. And, you know, because there's got to be that purpose at the end
Yes.
of all this, and have a passion and drive. All those things have to be present, because otherwise, yeah, you're just going to be miserable and get
Mm-hmm.
caught up. And it's going to, like, if you're chasing money, if you're going after money, you know, it's you're, I can't remember how that saying goes, but like, it's if you're something, yeah, if you're going for something quick and easy, you're going to be left in the same way,
Yeah.
essentially. That.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. You know, it's like you know, fast food. Yeah, you may think it's nourishing you for the moment, but it's not going to be sustainable at all. You know,
Yeah.
it's just going to leave you hungry. Um, what kind of program have you got for people right now, and how did they get hold of you?
Yeah, so my website is worldwidebreakthrough.com. And so I typically work with coaches and consultants. And, you know, so a lot of the stuff that we talked about today is in my program. It is quite involved. And I see a lot of people that come and they want this, you know, system, which I
Mm-hmm.
do, and how to grow your business, how to get more clients. One thing that, again, I pride myself on is the authenticity. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's really just bringing that out, because here's the thing. People, they get lost in this whole online thing
Mm-hmm.
because they almost kind of forget it, right? And they don't mean to come off in a, you know, an authentic way, but it's really just helping a lot of professionals and experts to make that transition online and effectively, you know, build their business. So, you know, there isn't a cookie cutter, you know, program or plan for people, but I do have a program that covers all disciplines. So, you know, everything between helping somebody really become clear on what they want to do and what their unique value proposition is. Like,
Yeah.
what is their superpower, right? Because
Yes.
there are disciplines that you need or sorry, principles that you need to cover, right? Principles don't come and go, right? There's strategies, there's tactics and all that, but having disciplines and principles, sorry, I didn't mean to say discipline again.
Mm-hmm.
Principles, they don't come and go, right? So
No.
something like authenticity, like
Yeah.
that, it's never going to go, right? Authenticity is here forever, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so yeah, it's really, you know, it's quite involved, and there are a lot of different things that I cover in the program. But if you go on the website, there is a free case study training and how that works, and some of my clients that I've helped as well. And if you're listening to this now, I'll even give you, it's not currently on my website, but you can type in member.worldwidebreakthrough.com. And that's a secret link to actually go in and get some of my program for free.
Right. Very
Yeah.
nice. Um, I mean, I just love the opportunity that everything is being presented right now. And I also love the way business is going, that authenticity, be yourself, be the very best version of yourself, be always willing to learn, and to adapt and to adopt and to share, because
Yeah.
truly that is the success of life. And that is what you are, showing people. But what I would love to know is, you've got a wonderful banner behind you so the people with the video can see it. But you have goal and what are the next two there? Because your head is covering them.
Oh, team and success. Yeah.
And so
So
it's goal, idea, team, and
I
success.
obviously can't look back here
Yeah,
because of the green
right,
screen, but
right.
yeah, I think it's teamwork, goal, and I can't.
An idea. So I've got goal, idea, teamwork, and success. And that's the thing. What is your goal? That's really what your why is, isn't it? Your goal. What's the idea that you'd like to follow? And then, who is your team that's going to help you do it? And what does success mean to you? And so those are
Yeah,
kind of the first four questions, really, aren't they?
yeah, and the whole being different, and that
Yes.
comes back to the unique value proposition and discovering your unique abilities. So in my program, like I have a bunch of exercises that help you to discover a lot of
Yeah.
that, and they're actually quite simple in nature to do. And they're, I have some of my clients are selling $250,000 consulting packages, right? And they come in and I haven't had anybody yet say these exercises aren't valuable, because that's the whole thing is you need to couple your uniqueness to an actual desire in the marketplace. So Forbes actually said as of 2020, before this pandemic, over 50% of households will be in the whole freelance area. So I think that that's also gone above 50%
Yes.
now
Yes.
with the pandemic, because that's one of the biggest issues I see people is they're trying to promote or sell something that doesn't really have a need or a desire, and they just kind of came up with that idea in their head, and they end up wasting a lot of time, and they're trying it's you can't create a desire in someone's heart. It already has to be there, right? So
Yeah.
some of these things, it's like so simple, and it's like the aha moments, but that's where the magic really begins to happen. So I take my clients through that process, and once we've done that, then we can get into some of the things to make sure that you have laser like focus, and you have a daily I call it my daily manifestation of operation. And basically you're the creator of your life, like we talked about. So your goals, like whatever you want in life, like you can go after it. Like, I mean, there's nothing that's holding you back.
Right.
Right. Like Steve Jobs said, right? The people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the people who do that.
Right.
So it's really coming into that environment, like you talked about, having a community of like-minded individuals where you're no longer crazy.
Yes.
And you could balance these things off. So having accountability partners, masterminds, group coaching, having this, right, along with the program, to kind of help guide you, but also being surrounded with experts that want the same thing and achieving the same thing.
Yeah. And being there for one another, because we know that collaboration and community, that cohesiveness is the caring. And that is where business is going. It's caring about your fellow person, and it's caring about collaborating, because you never know, where somebody may have something that they've perfected. Your company doesn't do that. Why are you trying to reinvent something when you can collaborate with someone? And having that team where they're not afraid to share their expertise, because it basically, when one grows, we should all grow. That's the part of support that's there, and that thinking is finally coming around. And it's good to see this really being practiced in business and having people out there that are guiding people towards that path. So thank you for doing so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and I know, like for me, I didn't have that. Like what I now offer to people, I never had that, and so I see, where I have very successful people coming in and seeing the value of that. I mean, that obviously makes me feel great about it, but
Right.
it's also kind of a mutual thing too, where even myself, like I said, I'm constantly growing and being in that
Yes.
environment. We're helping each other.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like your extended family, really.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of it. You're building that community of family, and it's by choice because you want to be there, you know. You like that person, you want to support them. So it is important. Now, you're also under LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is under Michael Weber.
Yes, yes. So I don't even know how to. Yeah, it'd be under Michael Weber. I mean, if you can see my face now, it'd be definitely.
Right, right.
So
And any other social medias that you're on?
LinkedIn is my number one
Go
that
to?
yeah, my Facebook, I just have it for basically,
Right.
my personal. I don't.
Personal stuff, right?
Yeah, LinkedIn is like I think I'm probably not too far away from 20,000 people
Mm,
on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's where, especially in the coaches and consulting industry, that's, my bread and butter, and where, I really help other coaches to leverage as well.
yeah. And so your site again is worldwidebreakthrough.com, and they can also do /case study on there, and then get hold of you at mike@worldwidebreakthrough.com as well. And so they can reach out to you and have a conversation with you. And I'm not going to be putting it on the posting about your offer. They've got to have to listen to get
Yeah,
that.
awesome.
And so I hope they take advantage of that. And, be open to have a conversation with you and see if there is a fit. And, and not to be putting things off for tomorrow. Today is the day, is the gift of the present. So, embrace that present, that gift, and start putting one foot in front of the other, right?
Absolutely. That's how I do it. Just get to know somebody and see if it's the right fit. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not all about doing sales. It's honestly just asking questions and listening. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if somebody likes what you're doing, likes who you are, likes your format, then they're going to participate in it. And it's not for everyone, but you don't want it to be, because then it's
No,
too generic, right? So
exactly.
it's that specialty for the people that have got the right set mind and want the right goals, and then you're there to guide them along their way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's been great to have you on here today.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It was my pleasure.
My pleasure too. And, to everyone else out there, you've got an idea, you've got a why, there's a goal you want to reach, and you just think, I can't do it, or I didn't succeed at my last business, so I should maybe give up. No, just redirect. Listen to Michael, have a conversation with him. Maybe his program, his format is the one that you need to get your idea across to the world. Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows. Please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows, and you will see the incredible lineup of genres and shows that we have for you. We are here to make a difference in your life. Thank you for listening.